Yo, what's going on, guys? Matthew V. Haynes here, aka The Clockmaster. We're here to talk about The Matrix Resurrections. This will be a spoiler-free review. This will be non-spoilers. I can't go into spoilers in this video, and I won't want to do that either, because I want you guys to go out and see this movie. I do believe it might be releasing in some theaters tonight, and then HBO Max in some theaters tomorrow as well. So we're going to go ahead and just talk about this film. Before we get into that, guys, please make sure to subscribe for more coverage, for more movie reviews, for more TV and movie reactions on the channels, lists, Letterboxd lists and things like that. If you guys want to follow me on Letterboxd, where I have all of my movie lists, tiers and everything like that, please make sure to do that. The link is down below. Okay, so before we get to talk about Matrix, I'm going to explain how this video is going to work. So I'm going to give my overview, thoughts and opinions on the film. How did I feel walking out of the movie? How did I feel going into the movie? And then I'm going to flip a coin and we're going to do the good and the bad, things that I loved about this movie, things that I didn't like so much about this film. And then I'm actually gonna, and I got that mixed up. I'm actually gonna give you my rating of the film, like where I have it, like what's my actual score for the film before we go into the good and bad. Flip the coin, do the good and bad, then I'm gonna do a closing out. There should be some chapters within this video if you guys want to skip to certain parts, so make sure to go ahead and do so. Okay, guys, so I saw this movie at a critic screening, as I've been seeing most of these movies recently, at a critic screening last week. So I was able to do my early reaction, which some of you guys have seen my video on that, my early reaction to that, but I couldn't go into detail about my actual thoughts on the film, so that's what we're gonna go ahead and do today. So my overall thoughts on this movie, guys, really and truly, I loved this movie. I love this movie so much more than Matrix 3. That one left me with a lot of questions. I had a lot of concerns. I had no idea what the heck happened. It changed so much drastically, not only in the tone of the actual film, but the fighting styles and everything was so much different from the first two films. So the first one was great. A lot of us loved the first one. A lot of people didn't like the second one, but I love the second one because just the fight scenes in that was just really amazing. So to me, story-wise, the second one wasn't as strong as the first one, but the fighting in the second one was what made it up for me. I mean, come on, we had Neo fighting against like a gazillion like Agent Smiths in the second movie, so it's like I don't know, how could you not like that, in my opinion? And then the third one was just like story-wise, it just kind of fell flat for me as well, and action-wise it kind of fell flat for me. Now this one takes a completely different approach to those movies. This is not a retelling of the first movie. It's not trying to recreate something that was there. I feel like there is a lot of nostalgia within this sequel with the fourth one, but it's not done in a way where it's trying to retell the story that we already know and the story that we already have. I feel like it just takes what we already know about the Matrix and builds on it and adds more to it. And I think Lana, I think she did a great job with trying to tell the aspects of the story and elevating it to a different point and adding new different themes to it, which I won't get into specifically, but there's certain things that are done in this film, certain twists and turns that are done in this film that I think work for the movie. Now, a lot of you guys will go into this and you're gonna leave either with a really enhanced experience, like, man, I really love this, I was enlightened by this, I really cherish what happened in this, and then most of you guys are probably gonna leave disappointed, just because there's certain things that if you don't have the capacity to appreciate certain things within storytelling, and certain things with the way how something is brought towards you, then I don't think you're going to really enjoy certain things about this. Now, I know some of you guys have concerns about the action. I think the action is good. We'll get more into detail about certain things. I think the action is good. I think it fit for the film. I think it fit for the story that they were trying to tell. This is a rough story. You've seen the trailers. You can see what was kind of going on in that. They tell a more rough story. It's very passionate. It's very serious in certain tones, in certain areas, and it's a legitimate story. This is not some type of random thing that they're just trying to throw in just to make a cash grab. I feel like this is a legitimate sequel and a legitimate story that's really doing a good job at doing both of those things, being a sequel and being a good story on its own as well. And there's certain themes that, just like I said, get explored within the movie that are just awesome. So this is my actual ranking of the movie, and then we're gonna get into the pros and the cons, and I'll dive more deeper into certain things like that. So I'm actually going to give this movie a 9 out of 10. It's currently sitting in my number 7 spot on my Letterboxd top 10 movies of 2021 list. I readjusted it last night, so if you guys want to go and actually see my full list and see my reviews for all of those movies, they're on Letterboxd. The link is down below, but it's currently sitting in my number 7 spot because it was just that good of a film to me. I mean, I feel like everyone did such a good job with their characters, and seeing Keanu Reeves come back as Neo and do what he does best, I feel like it's just really amazing. And like, you can see that this is, you know, a different Neo. It's still Neo, but something's different. So we're not gonna get too much into that. But yeah, let's get into the pros and cons. So the pros and cons. That's what y'all here for. So let's flip the coin. Let us flip the coin. Hold up real quick. We're gonna flip the coin. Heads is gonna be positives, and tails is gonna be negatives. So let's go and flip this coin. We are starting with the positives. So we're gonna start with the things that I liked about this movie. Let's just start with this. The writing. Bullet points, gonna go real quick. The writing, absolutely loved the writing. I think Lana did a great job. Like I mentioned, I felt like she was telling a part of her story within this in a way that is meaningful, not just a way that I guess some people might I don't know, I don't think there's a woke aspect to this movie. I don't think this movie has a woke aspect. I know some of you guys are quick to say that and quick to throw that word around. I don't think this movie has a woke aspect. I think this movie has a real aspect, a real telling of certain characters and their stories that really just hit home with you. I don't really think it has anything like that. This movie doesn't set itself up to be something like that. It's not like that at all. This is literally a Matrix movie. But I feel like that it's at its core, you're having a deeper story that's being told with these characters, and I'm trying to really word myself around this without spoiling anything, but there's certain tellings of the story that really mean something to Lana, and you can see that within the writing, and writing overall when it comes to the actual plot of this movie, to me, because this is just my opinion, guys, to me, I feel really stands up with the other ones, and it explains a lot of things that we wanted to understand about the third movie. It answers some questions, some things that we really wanted to understand about the world and where things left off in the third movie. So to me, I was satisfied with that, and I was satisfied with what I got when it came to the writing. Another thing I loved about this movie, and I talked a little bit about it throughout this review so far, is the exploration of different themes and lore additions. So they're adding more to the story. They're exploring different themes, exploring things that we already understand about the Matrix, and adding more onto it, on top of that, things that will make us love it even more. So I'm sitting down there and I'm expecting to get a retelling of the story. No. Definitely not like that. They add a lot of things in this movie that work really well, and it makes it feel like such a genuine process, and absolutely worked really well. Another thing that I can mention is the nostalgia, and I talked a little bit about the nostalgia without the recreation. So it does have bits and pieces within this film that feel nostalgic to Matrix fans, that feel nostalgic to people who've seen the movies growing up and love, and things that they love about the Matrix, different nods, certain things, different Easter eggs that are mentioned within this film, that I think a lot of Matrix fans would appreciate it. And again, another thing that I touched on, a genuine sequel. I think this movie is a genuine sequel. It's a genuine sequel, right? This is not like, I've seen someone ask me this question in the last one. Did it feel like The Force Awakens, or did it feel like, The Rise of Skywalker? And then I said, put it this way, it felt like when I walked into this movie, I left happy. I left happy, and I'm like, man, I cannot wait to see this movie again. And so far, I've only seen it once, because I could have only seen it once at the critic screening, and then HBO Max tomorrow, I'm going to be watching it again. So definitely check my Letterboxd when I see the movie again. I may or may not update my review, depending on if my viewpoints change at any point in this. But yeah, no, I think it's a great, genuine sequel with ways that it adds on the story to make it whole and make it complete if you need to complete it or whatever. It leaves so much room to explore certain things. So it's a great, genuine sequel. The action was something that I like. I think it was uniquely adapted. It's done in a different way. So there's a lot of things that happen within the action sequences, which I'll get more into my negatives, some of my bad stuff, but there's a lot of things within the action sequences to me that just really work for the type of story that they were trying to tell and that they told with this movie. So it's done in such a unique way, but there's a lot of action in this movie, and I think some of you guys will really appreciate it, and then some of you guys will honestly just walk away and be like, I don't know what the heck I just watched. So that's that. The twist and turns was also something I liked about this movie. It was not predictable at all. There were moments, yes, there were certain key parts of the film where I was like, okay, maybe I can predict where this is going, I can see where this is going, but for the majority of that time I could not predict anything. Like, there was a lot of twists and turns that kept me asking more questions, like, I don't like, where is this gonna go? Like, I have no idea where this is gonna go. So I was it kept me on the edge of my seat, and I was definitely engaged personally where this story was going. And one of my last positives from this film was that I feel like it made up from the last one. So the third Matrix film left a sour taste in my mouth personally, because I watched it, I'm like, what the actual heck is going on? What's going on with Agent Smith? What's going on with Neo? What's going on with everything? Y'all really just about to go kill Trinity? Like, what y'all doing in this third movie? So to me, when I'm watching this one, what I wanted was redemption. I wanted to get certain things rectified and certain feelings I needed to be adjusted from my perspective walking away from the third movie, and I felt that I got that. So those are just some of the positives that I can think of right now, guys. On to my negatives. So for my negatives, I don't have too much negatives. Some of them might be nitpicky, and then some of them might just be because of certain circumstances. So let's get into that. So cinematography, there was some good cinematography in this film, but then there was also some parts where I'm like, what the heck are you doing? Like, there were certain angles that were shot really weird. And I will say this. I spoke to one of my friends here on YouTube, Sam from Team JVS. We talked about this because he also saw it at a critic screening as well, like a lot of us saw it last week. So one of the things that we talked about was, narratively, there were certain just choices that were made for the theme of the film, even with the cameras and with certain script choices and things like that, was made intentional. So maybe that's why, because I'll have to rewatch it again to see if I can appreciate certain things. But also, I saw this at like a really big IMAX theater. This was the big one in New York City, the big one in the country, like the 77-foot one. It's like super tall, and I had the worst seat. Like, I wasn't sitting at the back, I was sitting like a little bit too close to the screen, so some of the action wasn't, and the cinematography, the way it was shot, wasn't clean for me. But maybe if I sat further back, it would have been a different experience. So I want to see it again on HBO Max so I can get a different perspective of it, being able to view it properly. But a lot of the fighting, just the camera, some of the camera shots felt a little too shaky for me, and I personally didn't like that. But like I said, it might have been an intentional thing depending on what they were trying to do with the story. So just keep that in mind. Another negative that I had was again, just kind of going into the action, certain things action wise I wanted to see. It wasn't horrible, but I wanted to see a little bit more from certain things. I'll see that without getting into spoilers, but without, certain things I wanted to see more of and done in a certain way. Again, this might tie back into the way that they filmed the movie for a narrative purpose and its intent to, I guess, mess with you. So I'll just leave it at that, but just keep your eye on that. And the last one for me was the music. Just didn't really do it for me. It didn't grab me as much as the other ones did, and most films do. The music, it's a little bit forgettable for me. I'll have to rewatch it. When I rewatch it again, I'll focus more on certain themes like the music. I'll actually focus on certain things, like extra things, like additions to the script and additions to the action and stuff like that. But the music, at least from my first viewing, just didn't really catch my attention. There were some things in the score that just weren't memorable to me, and like Dune, for instance. Like when I left Dune, I mean Hans Zimmer and Dune, the music in Dune was a story of itself. It was an addition to the film in a way that helped the narrative, that helped the story. So the music in The Matrix Resurrection didn't really hit me as much. So like I said, some of these negatives are just nitpicky, just personal choices, but that's really where it ends. Everything else I loved about this movie: story, actors, the action, certain direction choices. I think the directing was amazing overall, so that's why I gave the movie such a high score. Most of the other things may or may not change depending on when I see it again. But yeah, guys, I mean, in closing, all in all, I, Matthew Haynes, loved The Matrix Resurrection. That's that. And I left the theater with a good experience. Not all of you guys are going to share about the same experience as me. Some of you guys are going to either really agree with me or really not, like completely disagree with me and not like or agree with anything that I'm saying right now, and that's completely okay. Honestly, that is completely okay. You don't have to agree with me, and that is fine. We can definitely have a conversation about this in the comments when you see this movie for yourself. If you have some really good insights and things that just didn't work for you, definitely please talk to me about it. Well, I'm definitely willing to have a conversation with you guys in the comments about this if you genuinely didn't like the movie. But if you're like, oh man, the movie's trash, the movie is this, then like I can't, there's not much I can do with that. So yeah, I personally enjoyed the movie and I think it's up there for me, and that's it. And we'll see if my opinions change on my second rewatch. We'll be doing a reaction on my wife's channel because she hasn't seen the movie, so we're gonna get her reaction to it. I haven't told her anything about it other than the fact that I liked it, so we'll see her reaction to it. It's gonna be my rewatch. You guys can, if you want to see me rewatching the movie with her and it's her first time reacting to it, definitely check the link down below for her channel. But anyways, guys, that's it for my review on The Matrix Resurrections. I definitely recommend you watch this movie, especially if you're a Matrix fan. At least that way you can see for yourself if you enjoyed it, and if you didn't enjoy it, then that's fine. You know, you can just always go back to the ones that you always like, honestly. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed my review and my thoughts on this, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Clockmaster out.